This is the sort of hardware pack or accessories that they give you for the 2 meter. And you see round solid carbon wing rod. It's got sort of a pylon mount for the horizontal. Carbon, and the holes are already drilled for the mounts. And then they give you some plywood pieces, which I guess make up the servo tray. This looks like some kind of push rod guide, so maybe, you know, this would mount something like this. And I'm not sure where these would go, maybe on the sides. And again, this is going in the pod, so you'd be mounting it from the bottom because the hatch is on the bottom. So there's those pieces. 2 nylon bolts for the tail. So those are all the accessories you get for the 2 meter or the 2.5, and of course you'd get the push rods as well. Now these airplanes don't come with any wiring or wiring harness parts, so you'll have to assemble all of your own harnesses and connectors. Here's the bag for the 3.5, which this basically just consists of a bunch of wood. It's like laser cut wood parts, and it's marked X08, and the other one for the 2 meter was marked X08 too. So I'm assuming these are designed specifically for the KST X08 and the fuselage. These are definitely for X08, so I can recognize. So there's a lot of stuff here, I must say. I'm not quite sure how all this stuff goes together, but I know there's a bunch of guys in RC groups with Kappas that have been putting these together. Looks like a bunch of these little shims. I don't know what these are for. So there you go. These are all the parts to make up the servo mounting system, and looks like push rod guide system in the fuselage of the 3.5 meter. If I figure out how all this stuff works, I will put some links in the video, maybe to the RC groups thread. Let's move on to the tails. Here's the rudder for the 3.5. You can see the bolts and the brass tubing for the control horn. Horizontal. This is the pre-drilled hole for the control horn, which is supplied, and this is a through hole for the rudder control horn. Elevator for the 2 meter. And here's the rudder for the 2 meter. Let's move on to the fuselage of the 3.5. You can see here the sort of angle mounted recess, and I think it's for a multiplex plug, which they don't supply you, but I'm sure, you know, most of you guys have these in your toolbox. And it looks like it would be a really tight fit, so you might have to do some trimming of the hole and of the plug to get everything to line up in here. And there's a similar setup in the wing. Very small wing bolts. There's the canopy. Nose. You can see the firewall there. And here's the tail. Cone, which is removable. Holes to access your bolts on the bottom. Here's the canopy real quick for the 3.5, just fiberglass with carbon rod glued in already. Pod for the 2 meter. Nose. Wing root detail, just a couple round holes. And so I think you'd have to drill a hole here for your wiring from your wings. And same setup for the canopy or the hatch. I don't know if you can see inside this thing. It's pretty much all carbon. boom, the boom for the 2 meter. All right, here's the 2 meter wing. You can see the aileron is top hinged, flap is bottom hinged. And I'll try to show you the setup they use here. I don't know if you can see that, but the linkage, the rod is already installed with an L, and there's an L bend already in there. So you really don't have to do much except for center your surfaces and align your servo with the L bend once you mount the servos. Pretty thin out here. I'd recommend X08 or similar servo, DLG servo definitely for the aileron, for the fuse as well on the 2 meter. And you can see the carbon attachment point for the linkage. Basically there's a bit of carbon control linkage going to the servo with the metal rod glued into that, and then there's a carbon there's a metal pin that's attached with carbon on the control surface. I'd also recommend, these have some customers or people with Kappas have been noticing that the pin that goes through this control linkage does tend to back out, so put a drop of CA on both sides or goop or something like that to keep that pin from backing out. But yeah, really clean control linkage. Probably one of the best features of this model. Here's the flap bay. Again, similar. I don't know if you can see the linkage in there. And there's the, you can see, probably see it really well how they set it up on the flap on this model. Carbon and pinned with a steel rod. Same exact setup for the 3.5 on ailerons and flaps. 3.5 center panel, pretty standard. We have these molded in details that jig into the fuselage, which is cool. Same exact linkage and everything on the 3.5 and all the parts. Let's see how this fits together. Yeah, it fits together really well. Jigs in really nicely. Sort of slides in like that. That's how you get your connection. And you can see, again, the angled connection here for the DB9 plug. Kind of tight, doesn't really want to fit, so I think you'd have to definitely do some sanding on your plugs to get all this, to get the plugs in there and set up nicely for a plug-in and play setup. Well, we might as well look at the wing bags too, because all the models are supplied with wing bags, which is really nice. It's a nice feature. Really basic wing bags, just the typical sort of aluminized foam. They are stitched, but they don't have the piping on the edges, which is okay. Velcro here. So again, you get wing bags with all these models. They don't come with tail bags, so all you get are wing bags. No fuselage bags either. But it's definitely nice to get these, and it's nice that they're thrown in with the cost of the model. So overall, what do I think of these models? I think quality-wise, they're very good. I don't really see any issues with these parts as far as fit or finish or anything like that. So I think quality on par with most of the stuff that's available right now. One thing that I do like about this airplane, the 3.5 and the 2, is that they're not super fragile, so they're fairly stiff. The parts are fairly stiff. Even the all glass wing, it feels good. It feels fairly stiff. I wouldn't be worried about handling this. I wouldn't be worried about flying it on maybe a rough field if you don't have nice green grass and you have like some pretty thick twigs and things that you land on that might catch a leading edge, or that you're horizontal or something. I think this is fairly durable compared to what we see coming on the market today, as far as maybe the next generation of F5J models goes. So I think that's a real bonus, the durability of these parts. It's funny because When I think about it now, I mean, the 3.5, let's say your flying weight is 44 ounces. You know, a year ago you would have thought, wow, that's super light, even for the high aspect ratio wing. And it is very light, don't get me wrong. I don't think this is a heavy model at all. But I think we're going to see, or we are seeing, sort of the next generation of F5J models coming to the market. And you know, there's almost 4-meter wingspan models now that weigh 40 ounces ready to fly. So it's just crazy how I think this side of soaring is really advancing much faster than F3J as far as technology and bringing weights down and things like that. So quality good. I think durability is great for an electric model. So those are two big points there for the Onyx range of models. Again, 3.5 is going to be about 44 ounces, you know, maybe I'll say 43 to 45 ounces, something like that. 2-meter version, about 21, 22, and I'm not sure what the 2.5 would weigh, but I would guess to be about 24, 25 ounces. The other thing that I like about these models, especially the 3.5, is they look really nice. They're good-looking models. They're sharp-looking. They're sort of aggressive-looking. You know, the wingtips, they're pointy, and usually we're seeing these round wingtips with the newer models on the market today. And I like that, and I think they probably, you know, serve an aerodynamic purpose. But in general, the Onyx or the Kappa, it's a really good looking airplane. I like the way the tails are shaped. I like the fuselage, especially on the 3.5 meter Kappa. I think it's a really good looking fuselage. And I think if you show up to the field with one of these, you know, you're going to get some looks, and your friends are going to want to check it out, and they're going to say, oh, what's that, you know? So it's not something that looks exactly like everything else that's being developed right now. So if you want an electric model that's light, fairly durable, and high performance, this would be a good range of models to look into. You know, the 2-meter and the 2.5 meter Onyx or Kappa really were developed for the European class, so a couple of European classes in F5J. So maybe over here in the States, they'd be a good choice for sport models. You know, like if you have a small field, you can take the 2-meter Onyx out. And I have a couple of friends that fly the 2-meter version of the Kappa, and they say it sort of handles like a big DLG, which is good. So if you're looking for a fairly inexpensive, small yet high performance electric sailplane, you know, the 2-meter or the 2.5 meter Onyx or Kappa would be a good choice for you. So I'd say that definitely the Onyx is worth a look. Quality is great. The price is pretty good. You know, they range, you know, between $1,600 and $1,700 or $1,800, which is, you know, is in the middle or to the low end of the price range on these models nowadays, I guess. The 2-meter is about $700, $750, and I think the 2.5 is, you know, $50 or $100 more than that. The other bonus with these models is the level of prefabrication, which would allow you to build it quicker, and you know, they really look like they would go together fairly easily. I haven't built one yet. I'm thinking about putting a 3.5 together for myself. So I think the builds would go pretty well. The unique parts with the control linkage on the wings is another bonus for me. So I think basically some of the unique features like the control linkage, the price point, durability, and maybe the general looks of the airplane make it a pretty good package, and yeah, it's worth taking a look. So that's it for now. I think there's a couple of new planes coming down the pipeline here that I hope to introduce you to as well. We're going to get a large choice of electric F5J or ALES sailplanes in the near future. I think that's really where all the development is being focused on these days. And it's exciting, but it's sort of sad too. Does that mean the F3J is dying out in Europe? Because really all these things are coming from Europe, and that's where the latest and greatest and new designs and technologies is being developed. So I don't know. Maybe F3J is. I think F3J is. I don't know if it's on the decline over there, but F5J is definitely on the rise, and I heard there's going to be a world championship in 2019. So that's exciting, and like I said, we're going to be seeing several new models here pretty soon. So stay tuned if you want to get all the latest news about what's coming up, and we'll see you in the next video.